Denver Broncos Mile High View. I'm so sorry. This is like, we don't have fancy mics and stuff like this because it's so hard to even do this on our telephones, let alone have both of us have a studio, which Bubble Man is ready to do. And it's just, this is like the third take because we keep getting interrupted. We just can't ever get these done. We got two guys here that can get this right, but yet we can't get paid. And that's just the whole thing. I just want to bring this up is that when I started this and then the great Coach Bucketman joined, we were getting accused of sensationalism. And that peaked with when the Denver Broncos got Russell Wilson. And they were saying, well, you're just saying what you're saying. We were saying that all the stuff that became true, that we said was going to come true, like we were some sort of fortune tellers or time travelers. We were accused of sensationalism. That's you're going against the narrative. And I'm like, the problem is that there's so much bullshit that telling the truth is such a revolutionary idea that you get accused of sensationalism. And we had a lot of sensationalism this week as we get ready for the draft. This is a draft broadcast or podcast or video, however you want to define it. We had Tom Brady was going to possibly come here, which was totally, it's not even the universe of reality. Again, the bullshitters are bullshitting. Talk about, clickbait. We were accused of clickbait with the Russell Wilson thing. And then there was this other thing that popped up. What was the other thing that was also sensationalized? There's one more thing. Which one was that, Coach Bucketman, that they were sensationalizing? It was on the line of clickbait.
I have no.
We can't keep up with it. I know.
Yeah, I can't because I pay attention to that bullshit.
You can't keep up with it. So, at any rate, so we're going to talk about reality here. We're going to talk about the press conference that the Broncos had. We're going to talk about what'll most likely happen, from my perspective, his perspective, with this stupid draft that is kind of pointless because, and we'll get into why it's pointless. I guess that's going to be the other thing. So at any rate, we'll also talk about the stupid uniform distraction. I think it's a distraction from the product on the field. But the uniforms, the way they're leaked out, seem to have a Cleveland Brown feel to them, which is par on course with the Walmart General. But anyway, so you want to get into the first the presser with Sean Payton and George Payton. That you want to start with that?
So that presser that we watched was so disingenuous, in my personal opinion, from Sean Payton. Sean Payton.
Well, wait a minute. We had two people there.
Oh, yeah, it was both Paytons. In the organization.
The Paytons.
Yeah.
Paytons. They like Office Space, right? The Bobs.
Yeah. So Sean Payton looked like he was really trying hard not to say things that would piss off the organization, just like last year when he spilled the beans on Elway, saying he has an office right down the hall. This, that, and the third before the draft, and the video came out of him, smoking weed with those teenagers or whatever. So that was a direct shot from the organization to Sean Payton. But, I really don't feel bad for Sean Payton because, again, you signed up for this. You signed up for this organization. You signed up for this product. So I don't feel bad for you whatsoever. When I watched that press conference, I mean, it's just your typical Denver Broncos press conference. I mean, the same old fucking bullshit questions, the same bullshit answers outside of a good answer, a good question here or there. Sean Payton was like stuttering and trying to think of what to say. And I'm like, that's not Sean Payton at all. He was told, you better not say this or we're going to do this. And we all know who that came from. That came from Elway, who's still in that organization. And don't give me that fucking shit that Elway's not part of that organization, because these free agency moves that we've seen, these draft visits, a lot of these people that they're trying to go after are Elway type players. So don't give me that fucking shit. That
well, whether Elway is there or not, his people are there, and it's the same old garbage crap. I just want to say really quick, you had what's his face on I hate fucking names. It's my kryptonite. You had the Sandy Clough. You had Sandy Clough going on about it's all orchestrated by Sean Payton. Okay. He was saying the hierarchy at the front office. Excuse me. Hierarchy at the front office is such, it's all Sean Payton. Well, Sean Payton only has one of his guys, vice president of player personnel, which I don't even know what that means. When you look at Stark, you look at Moogie, you look at George Payton's people and where they fall in this player personnel. What I do is I look at the picks, and it was the bucket man here, the coach bucket man, that he broke down film. A player we believe came from the Sean Payton circle. Sandy Clough also agreed that this came from the. No reason I bring him up is that he did want to talk about the receiver that they just signed, and which is not a Sean Payton pick. I think what was pointed out last draft, I think that Elway led, I guess, backed up by George Payton front office. They said we got to get a receiver last year, and so I think it was everybody said that the Mims pick was the pick itself. He had to get a receiver. That's what the higher up said. We'll get into what they said at this press conference. George Payton said, when the front office says to move up, you move up. And then Sean Payton is like, and there was a lot of that. But I just want to talk about last year's draft so everybody came out and said the pick itself was a Sean Payton pick. And I did say that Mims would be relegated to punt returns. And it turned out that, again, it was that conflict with Jerry Jeudy to have somebody look better than him. And what happened? We saw Mims. We saw him rise. And as soon as he looked like he was a lot better than Jerry Jeudy, he got relegated to and that's that front office Elway mentality that goes on. Do not develop anybody. As a matter of fact, you got Sandy Clough that said, yeah, that guy, that person that you did film, the one guy you like, he's going to be just a backup. He's just going to be he's a backup. He's just a backup. Go ahead.
But you bring up the Marvin Mims point, which I think is a good point on your part, but also I want to, you talk about being relegated. I think that's what this Josh Reynolds signing is too. I do, because you have.
Sandy Clough didn't want to talk about the Josh Reynolds, and was that a Sean Payton pick? Because that clearly wasn't.
Of course he doesn't want to talk about it because it's an Elway type signing.
Yes.
Sorry, apologies. So to circle back to the Calvin Throckmorton guy, the one guy I liked, Sandy Clough, he's going to be a backup. Have you seen our offensive line as of late over the past 8 to 10 years?
Yeah. Who's he backing up?
Yeah, who's he backing up? Alex Forsyth and Luke Wattenberg. I mean, so you know what? If you want Alex Forsyth and Luke Wattenberg to be your center, or do you want Calvin Throckmorton to be your center?
So let me just ask you this: even if they put him at center, let me ask you this: after watching we'll get into the press conference too, but after watching doesn't it scream? And even Zach Lai at 104.3, the Fan couldn't hide it. Doesn't it seem it was obvious that there's conflicts just abound by listening to the canned answers?
There was a lot of tension in that press conference. And I told you that. I said, dude, this press conference is weird. Like you could just watching it and listening to it, you could just feel the tension in that room. You have Sean, like you said, there's a conflict going on behind closed doors in Dove Valley. I agree with you on that. There is a conflict right now. You have Elway's people, and then you have Sean Payton's people.
Well, I think George Payton, his people, he brought people in too when Elway's people moved up.
Yes.
Not move on. Not move on.
Moved up. You're right. Yep.
Moogie. He moved on. Oh,
He did not.
You just can't make this stuff up. So he moves up,
Man.
and to fill the vacuum, George Payton brought in that gal. She took over Moogie's, and then brought in somebody else. Then the Lions
brought over the guy from Detroit who they glad got rid of.
Yeah, and as soon as they got rid of him, Detroit started making progress with their player personnel to pick up decisions. But I just want to get back to I want to get into why it was. We're not just saying what we're saying. I want to explain why it seemed awkward. We'll just put it that, at minimum, it was definitely awkward. Where you had, like you said, they're already pre-scripted questions, and George Payton had all the canned answers. He had all the canned answers, right? He was giving you canned answers. It was Sean Payton who was like, he was tiptoeing all around. And I think because that video surfaced with him smoking pot, I think he's walking on eggshells. What he's going to say, I'm not going to say anything about Elway. We're going to work with him and all his people. No. No, we're not going to say anything about that. But I'll give you a good example, though, of what was going on. It had to do with moving up. Everybody, the big question: are the Broncos? And I'll answer this question too, of my way I think of it. Are the Broncos going to make that big splash move up to number 3 or number 4? This is how. First of all, I'll get into what I think later. Let me get into what they got into. So George Payton specifically said when the front office says, and I challenge Sandy Clough on this one, because this ain't Sean Payton saying this, is George Payton saying this. When those in the front office say move up, you move up. Directly, when they say move up, you move up. That has nothing to do with Sean Payton. Sean Payton's answering the same question. He's next to him. It was like Abbott and Costello, man, those two. Sean Payton's like, oh, man, timeout. Well, we got to really think about this and what it means about leveraging the future. I mean, he was like backpedaling on this idea George Payton had about you just go for it, right? Now I want to get into just go for it. I think what the Broncos will do, if given the opportunity, they're looking at if number 3, let me just put it this way, if the New England Patriots, if the New England Patriots aren't going to grab the number 3 projected, you got to have quarterback, and that's a whole topic of discussion too, about whether any of these guys warrant any of that. That's another topic for discussion. But since there's so much hype and so much nonsense given to this position, this offensive backfield position called the quarterback, if the Broncos perceive number 3 is there, whoever that number, there's I think 3 top ones, right? Then you got the JJ McCarthy's and the rest of them, right? Kind of filtered down.
Oh.
So you got 3, right? I think we got 3.
Yes.
Go 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
So if 3 is still standing there, I think the Broncos absolutely is going to jump on that and give every single thing up for that number 3. That doesn't mean necessarily it's going to happen, because behind the scenes, another team could also be, say, in a position where they can give up the farm or whatever. But I'm just saying that I think that if that number 3 is there, there's going to be a lot of front office movement to go up and get that number 3, whoever that number 3 is, to make that big splash move. Now, if New England picks the number 3, or if another team trumps the Broncos in that move, then I think they're going to stay at 12 and see who falls in that number 12 spot, or they may move up to a number 6 or 7 or something like that. But we know, and we said this before, it is the actual GM of the team is Penner. We know that George Payton is just a fall on the sword guy and is a yes man to the higher ups in that front office. I believe Elway's still there. I believe George Payton was correct. He still has that office. I still think he directs all his people what he wants them to do. like his nephew who still is there. That's why I think he's still there. I think just the fact he's there, that Elway's still working behind the scenes. So that front office that George Payton is talking about, that when they say they say move up, we move up. I think that is really what they want to do, because they got 6 or 7 quarterbacks they like. That doesn't mean that they really like all of them. But I think if that J.J. McCartney, that Penix or whatever is still there, they'll do whatever it takes to get those 2 guys. What do you think about all that bullshit I just threw out there?
No, you're 100% correct. I see the Broncos doing the exact same thing. Yeah, if the Patriots don't decide to take that 3rd quarterback, I see the Broncos trying to give up the farm, which we predicted before Penner even said we're going to have a quarterback competition at the owners' meeting. He basically spilled the beans himself, saying that we're going to be drafting a quarterback this year, whether it's a 12 or we're moving up. I mean, there's no question, there's no doubt in my mind, by the end of next Thursday, after the first round, we will have a quarterback. We would have drafted a quarterback. There's no doubt in my mind. Broncos are desperate for a quarterback, and I have the Phoenix or the Arizona Cardinals podcast, and I have other podcasters out there saying the Broncos are the most desperate team in this year's draft to get a quarterback.
Oh yeah, there was a Freudian slip by PFF.
Yeah. PFF, yes, absolutely. PFF saying they're the most desperate team this year to get a quarterback.
Yeah, they'll make the most desperate move. It was a Freudian slip. They'll make the most desperate move for a. Yeah, he corrected himself. Yeah, this team again. This team.
They're broken.
This team, formerly known as the Denver Broncos, they don't make smart decisions. They make desperate decisions.
They make on-the-fly decisions. And I just want to say this too. I want to mention this that really pissed me off, and we were on the phone together when I was playing this press conference or listening to it about stats and film and analytics.
And then AI.
Yeah.
Zach Stevens ejaculating all over the place.
Yeah, all right. Who was the person pushing the AI thing? This guy right here, Chot's Liver. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to Sean Payton, and he contradicts himself talking about film, and then he turns around and say, oh yeah, we spent 2 hours this day using analytics and AI. I'm like, this isn't baseball or basketball, dude. This is this game, this NFL is so fucking broken. All the money that they pump out to Pro Football Focus, all the money that they pump out to analytics and AI is such a slap in the face to me, to you, to Bubble Man, who take time out of our day to put out film breakdowns.
Well, I think that's been the problem with a lot of organizations, because I want to explain why analytics isn't what, shouldn't be your end all be all. Maybe you use analytics. We'll get into AI in a minute, but you maybe use analytics to see, for instance, there seem to be, give me some analytics. A player has all these tackles. We'll call it.
All right, let's use Justin Simmons, for example, about his interceptions. Oh, yeah, by the way, is Justin Simmons signed yet?
No.
Go ahead.
So whether it's Justin Simmons and his arm punts, or it's, let's say a linebacker's got all these tackles, it all pops off on the computer, but did the computer realize that a lot of these tackles were due to piss poor run defense, and these tackles are downfield? That's just one aspect. Did the receiver who had a wonderful year, or the quarterback who had a wonderful year by the stats, what was that due by? Was it due for the quarterback raising ships and the receiver being or was it the fact that their offensive line gave them the time? And why? And then you got to ask, why did the offensive line give them the time, and break that down? So it's with football. Football is a very should be a complicated sport. I was just going to put this out really quick. I was going to do this rule change thing. I was going to change all the rules and make it where all the new fans are happy. old fans like us, because we were watching Super Bowl 10 and what football really is supposed to be today, or then, how it's not today. I was saying, why don't we just change the rules where you have one center, that's your offensive line, one center, you get one tight end and you get four receivers. You get also four secondary guys and a linebacker.
And
so there's no running allowed. No running allowed. It's just go balls. You throw go balls.
There you go.
It's 60 minutes of some guy throwing go balls to a bunch of track stars. Okay. And a bunch of corners who don't even really a bunch of corners that don't even realize how to play the sport, all trailing behind, grabbing and stuff like that. And you can appeal to all the Taylor Swift fans out there and then use analytics to see who's going to get 10,000 yards this season. Okay, go ahead.
You already get that in the NFL.
I know.
You don't need to do that. I mean, that's what the NFL
might as well just do that. Just cut the running back and the whole running game.
Already have most of the NFL doing it. So
my question to you is, don't you have that? You're the college football guy. Isn't this whole spread thing predicated to that kind of thing? And isn't college football going in that route too?
Not a lot of the college teams are.
How many are doing the spread go ball?
I have to go look at the teams that are running spread offenses, but the Big Ten, you run a spread offense in the Big Ten, you're fucked. I'm sorry. The Big Ten is the most physical conference in the college football division. I'm sorry. That's what Scott Frost tried to do, and we got our asses kicked. So I guess we just need rule changes. We need rule changes. We just get rid of the rest of the defensive line, rest of the offensive line. Just forget it. Get rid of the running backs. We'll just throw go balls. That just go ball brought to you by Schlitz Malt Liquor. Yeah. Spread football brought to you by Pfizer. Yeah.
Yeah, Pfizer, PFF, and Chat GP.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we get frustrated looking at where all this is going, the future of football, listening to crap press conferences of two guys definitely not on the same sheet, but acting like they're on the same sheet.
No, of course they're not on the same music. I mean, we've been saying that since day one. And how long? Let's talk about this now. Let's segue into this. How long is it before Sean Payton says, "Oh, I'm done. I quit"? I give it a year.
Yeah. He walks.
Oh yeah, I give it a year, 2 years max.
Yeah, well, he knows that the front office content creators that was first created by the Elway Ellis trust, because they didn't want to be called out for their stupidity. So they needed all these voices out there saying how wonderful a job they're doing. Yeah, we can tell. We can tell the wonderful job. And I also like how people on our you get once in a while, and that doesn't happen. Once in a while, there'll be a guy like Upchuck will come around and say that we don't know what we're talking about yet. We're spot on year in and year out.
Who?
Yeah. Who? Yeah. Who?
I don't.
Yeah, just somebody. Yeah, out there from the front office. Just.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. The guy who doesn't film or respond to his own comments. Okay, that time. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's no response. I mean, you can't.
He's a dipshit. He's a dumbass.
Yeah. So.
I'll say it. I don't give a fuck if it hurts his feelings or I get canceled. You're a dumbass. I'm tired of these fucking people. I'm tired of the soft culture fucking bullshit.
Oh, you're gonna get soft culture. You're gonna get AI. We're gonna
talk culture. You know what I say to soft culture? I'm sorry, going on a
F you. You're right. F you.
Fuck you.
Okay, I get. Yeah, we need Zach Stevens here to get all excited. So you two. So anyway, I want to talk about AI. Well, we were doing beyond analytics, and I just wish we could do that, but you're the mastermind of that, and that just again, we don't have we don't have equipment because like right now it's every time we do this, something's going on behind the scenes. We can't ever get anything scheduled. You've got stuff that's thrown in your face. I got stuff thrown in my face, and we're really breaking the rules with all these people nipping at our heels to just do this.
Well,
So we had this thing that was called Beyond Analytics, and it was really taken off because it was a no negative, because we were saying screw looking at Bronco picks, because it's just senseless. It's futile. So we were looking at picks that this guy picks, and they all flourish, and they're these diamond in the roughs, because he's got a gift for these diamond in the roughs. And we were getting a lot of he had coaches wanting to talk to him and all the stuff. Anyway, so when I was doing research on software that we could use to do these film player breakdowns and stuff, they had a software that was where somebody like Bucket Man could teach the computer to look at hand placement, hit movement, as far as the offensive and defensive lines were concerned. And you could run film past the AI that would pick up on all this. And then that would help you look at, pre-select candidates to look at and see where maybe the computer had caught things, or maybe it didn't, but it would be trained by a guy like this as a aid. That's how we saw AI. But you can't, you would, again, it'd have to be somebody like us to program AI to recognize, why did the quarterback, why, did this offensive lineman have a good season based off of the kind of things this man looks at, technique, versus people he went against who also have technique. You don't get that in analytics. You don't get that, but you would have to train the computer to do all this stuff. And this is the kind of guy that should get paid tens of thousands of dollars at minimum, I would say, in a six-figure income, to train these AI systems so that they can, for NFL teams or even college teams looking at high school players, even, you could go with that too, to get the best player. Do you hear anybody online talking about what I'm talking about? Breaking it down? No, because they don't understand it. Why this guy doesn't have a job? I mean, you should have people dying to hire you. It boggles my mind.
I resigned the fact a year and a half ago that to be quite frank with you, these teams would never hire me because of, number one,
outspoken
I am. I'm not.
Wait a minute. You have a mind of your own.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah. Again, I'm not gonna lie. I have a little bit of a potty mouth when I get pissed, because it's just like, this game isn't hard, and people make it.
Well, here's the thing. If you were hired, you wouldn't be in front of the camera. You'd be working
behind,
watching film. That's what you'd be.
I would be getting in so many fights behind the scenes, because I'm like, you guys need to take this player like a Jordan Rhodes, a Christian Mahogany, all these guys that are really, consistent and really good, and you guys just want to go after the Marvin Mims of the world.
And why is it you want to draft these defensive? And again, let's start with this question. I'm sorry. Why do you want to draft these offensive, defensive linemen? Why in the world would you start with that building block?
Because that is the foundation of your team.
It translates. You're going to say it translates, right?
Well, it's the foundation of your team.
And why is it? And what happens with that foundation? Doesn't it translate out?
Yeah, it translates out. Translates to success on the field, which the Broncos have been lacking for 10 fucking years.
These teams in the last part of the playoffs, the deep playoff, one game from the Super Bowl. How are those lines? How are the lines on those teams?
They're the Chiefs lines. We could talk about Mahomes and Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce all we want, but those lines are I don't know, whole nother fucking level.
Detroit.
Yeah, who was the person that was saying, here comes Detroit? I've been trying to say that for 4 or 5 years.
Because they
drafted offense and defensive linemen.
Yeah, didn't let me ask you this. Wasn't that kind of a priority? Were the Bengals, weren't the Bengals in kind of that priority too of offensive and defensive lines? And they get that guy that now it seems to be an injured prone guy, but then the Giants, they understand what they got to do. They went and got the fellow from Buffalo.
Patriots still try to get offensive linemen and D linemen.
Yeah, and there is maybe some truth that they could trade down to get those lines built up.
That's what I would.
Yeah, and they may do that. I don't know now with Belichick on what the culture is going to be like over there. They're going to follow in the Bronco footsteps of it.
We'll see. I'm not, I can't wait for the draft, to be perfectly honest with you, because a lot of, again, I scouted this year, and I can't wait for, I
got an assignment for you too, but go ahead.
What's the assignment?
I want you to take a poll, kind of take an evaluation on teams.
Okay.
Who and what they covet, what they're coveting
throughout the draft next week.
Yeah. Now there are going to be people. Well, they already have a quarterback, so naturally they're going to go and But there's going to be teams that supposedly don't have their offensive backfield quarterback, and
I'm going to keep a close eye on what the Chargers do because of Harbaugh.
Yes. Because remember, Harbaugh Penner, and maybe for good reason. Penner was trying desperately to get this guy, and he would not come here. And we believe very strongly,
front office.
It's for those exact reasons we've been given about why that. Yes, what this ownership needs to do.
And the ownership group is inept.
Yep, they wouldn't take it.
To be perfectly honest with you, Chop to Liver, I don't think we've talked about this enough, and I've been kind of teasing it a little bit. I think there's infighting going on in that group ownership too.
Well, first of all, you have.
I believe.
First of all, you have Rob Walton, who's completely disconnected.
Where is he?
He's out at a Bilderberg meeting or at a WEF meeting somewhere.
Yeah, getting sued by millions of dollars for at Walmart for misplacing food prices for food and all that shit.
All that stuff. So he is so disconnected from this team. Then it's Penner and the rest of them, and if you listen to Sandy Clough, they were all arguing. Condoleezza Rice was arguing about who. So
Condoleezza Rice wanted Harbaugh because she was at Stanford when he was at Stanford. Garen fucking T. And she wanted that DeMeco Ryans guy. And DeMeco Ryans is like, no, I'm going to Houston. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
They no to the Broncos. And then I had Bronco fans saying the Broncos said no to DeMeco Ryans. Oh, my God.
Yeah. God. Well, let me ask you this. How are the Texans structured from their ownership and their GM? And I haven't looked at it, so.
It's a monolithic approach. I mean,
they're all on the same sheet of music. They're not. You don't have an Elway, Ellis crowd at the top.
No.
Being supported by a George Payton.
No.
With a Sean Payton.
No.
Okay. And I can't wait till
this team is never going to figure it out.
I can't wait till all the content creators or whatever, or however this goes, start saying, "Oh, we are the ones that came up with all this needs to go." They didn't say any of this stuff. We said this stuff.
I don't listen to
Mark Schlereth.
I don't listen to those knuckle dragging morons. They're dumbasses.
Yeah. So I don't know, and I don't understand at this point why you would listen to that. So let's get into the uniforms now. Another big distraction. Uniforms for the Denver Broncos. Leaked out. And they look a lot. First of all, can we talk about the product on the field before we ever worry about these stupid uniforms? Talk about why we are consistently consistent with getting a bad product on the field, bad player personnel, overhyped player personnel. It turns out to be not good enough. Matter of fact, we're going to also, before we even get into uniforms, we're going to talk about the product on the field, Courtland Sutton's contract.
Oh, God.
Okay, this is reality. And I asked you this question.
You did.
Courtland Sutton's demanding it. My question to Courtland Sutton and these people that fawn over players that aren't marquee. Close, but maybe they're calling Robin marquee, but Robin isn't Batman. So on the Detroit Lions, their staff. Let's say the Kansas City Chiefs even. the Cincinnati Bengals, their offensive receiver staff. You go around and look at the top receiver groups around the NFL, with especially like playoff teams or whatever. Would Cortland Sutton be a number one receiver on any of those teams?
No.
Of course he wouldn't.
Wouldn't even be a number two.
I think maybe you could start entertain number two, but I'm saying you got to Robin. You got to Robin.
He's not our fucking Robin.
I think that's where me and you disagree. I think he could be a number two on a number of teams. But what we both agree at for sure is unless the team is completely depleted, he is in no way going to be a number one receiver. The bottom line is this: they have no difference makers on their team. They have no difference makers, and this includes.
They have nobody on that team.
Nobody. I know. Remember, I said in the beginning there was another what you call clickbait. We're going to trade Surtain for 2 number 1 draft picks. How are you going to even get one number 1 draft pick for? Where was it? Is this guy an MVP somewhere?
Dude fucking sucks. Okay. What did I say?
The Rams. They said it was going to be the Rams.
Can I just say, okay, you know what? Do I have to go over yet again what I said during the draft process about Patrick Surtain? Do I have to explain it yet again?
Well, we showed film with Patrick Surtain over and over.
Again, we picked him over Rashawn Slater. Still to this day, blows my fucking mind because I wanted Slater.
Well, they supposedly care about the quarterback position, but they obviously don't.
He sucks. He would have never lasted in the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. He wouldn't even be on a team. Neither would Justin Simmons.
No, none of them. No.
Patrick Surtain is not worth 2 number 1 draft picks. It just God.
Well, again, I want to talk about this dovetails into what we're saying about a front office that's so delusional they buy into their own bullshit. That's why Justin Simmons hasn't at all got a place to go. We try to explain you people.
We tried telling you, and I showed film on this guy. The guy fucking sucks. We tried telling you around the NFL, the only teams that find.
Well, it's not even telling. We were showing you.
Okay, well, again, you had teams game planning offensively on his side.
And both of them.
Yeah. Yes. Even when they were on the same field, on the same side of the field together, they still.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear from the dumbass content creators saying, "Oh, well, you're not saying Patrick Surtain's good. Show me the film breakdown." I have. Go watch my channel. Go watch this guy's channel. I'm not gonna
over and over again.
God.
Yeah,
he sucks. We saw DJ Moore eat his lunch. I mean, how many times have we seen? How many times? Let me just say this, Chops Liver.
Right.
How many times have we seen players like that are elite route runners like Devontae Adams, DJ Moore? The list goes on and on and on. Elite route runners underneath expose him yet every fucking time. And I said coming out of the pre-draft process, this guy struggles with elite route runners and underneath players that are elusiveness and quick.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Even his best attribute, I think a player like Lynn Swann or Torrey Holt or something would just eat him for lunch. It wouldn't even be close.
I agree.
So
Champ Bailey would make him look like a
okay. So what I want to get at is we watched Super Bowl 10, and I always bring this up to you because people probably think I'm crazy. We looked at the top prospect corner. So I don't want to just point a finger at Sutton. I think and I've been saying this for a long time, the whole position of corner has de-evolved. We were watching Super Bowl 10. I wanted to point this out every time, and Lynn Swann got an MVP against a solid textbook corner with Dallas. I believe is Washington. His name was Washington. And did you once see a corner trailing behind, grabbing like this, right? They were running side by side. And
player. Go ahead.
And the corner was a half a step ahead. Like if that quarterback's going to throw, you better damn well be right on the target, you know? And one thing that Swan had in that game that the corner didn't was tracking ability. Swan had elite tracking ability on the ball. So what the corner did back then was textbook. He was, you know, a step ahead always of the, no matter where he was never trailing behind. Go ahead.
No, I agree. He always had the player in front of him.
Yeah, just by a half a step. So always ready to be see, back in the day, a corner was looked at as a defensive receiver. You looked at yourself as a defensive receiver. You understood space. You understood space. So if whatever cut or route that the receiver is, your understanding of space, you can quickly make that up and always stay ahead. That's how they were trained to do since they were in middle school, junior high, whatever you want to say, until they got to the pros, the all through the process. Yep. But you don't have that anymore. They scouted the top. All of them are trailing behind and trying to grab and stuff like that. It is gone. That position. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope. I have nothing. You said it perfectly.
So those are the kind of things. So when we say Surtain sucks, and why would you ever give up a number, even one number one for that? Yeah. Now, would they throw him in a package deal? Yeah, but I can't imagine that they're not going to, because that will probably, you know, if they were to move up, they think, because it's a broken front office, they probably would think that if they threw Surtain in, they could beat the Vikings out or whatever other team out. I don't know, the Titans. I don't know who is out there. The Vikings apparently probably want a quarterback. But they would think that throwing Surtain in would make some kind of a difference when polling with these other teams. But I would still make them, I would say, okay, we won't go with Vikings, but you're still going to have to at least give up a first-round draft pick and you know, number 2 draft picks at least, you know, and then some others too. If you're going to go up to number 3, I would still fleece them even with. And then you'd have to want Surtain too. You know, I don't know. Maybe these teams have been bullshitted through hype that this guy is worth it. I can't trust anybody in the NFL anymore either. You know, so it's possible they'd go for it, but I don't think they're going to get what they, you know, a big a break as they think they're going to get. But anyway, that was the clickbait. That Surtain was going to warrant 2 number 1 draft picks. Never enough. No, they're not that stupid.
No,
nobody's Bronco stupid. All right, so I've said my piece. What about you?
I think I've said what I've needed to say. I gotta get ready to go to this great job that I have. So
now, is the draft on the 26th?
I think it's next Thursday. So
it's the 25th. Okay.
So you and I will be communicating for sure. And then, you know.
So what days can you have another podcast? Can you do it Monday?
I have those 4 days off. I have I don't really want to say it on here because.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So perhaps Sunday evening or something like that. Of next week.
Well, I'll talk to you off air about that.
Okay. Well, I know anything we say it's like the wind blowing. Everything changes all the time.
It does.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I've said my piece too.
Yeah, I got to get ready to go here.
Yeah. Take care.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.